Groundskeeper chat series. I am your host, Meg Kruger, and today we have one of our special edition 2025 Pioneers in the Field episodes for you. And today we are joined by the sports turf manager for the Toledo Mudhens, Mr. Kyle Leppelmeier. How'd I do?
Good. You did great.
Flying colors? Okay. Well, welcome, sir, to your first Groundskeeper chat.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Of course. And we talked a little bit before we press record here that this is like just your dream to spend your lunch break talking about yourself. You're just someone that it just comes so natural and you love the spotlight.
That's not necessarily true, but we'll go with it.
The farthest from the truth for sure. And I will say you are in good company in the sense that all groundskeepers, like I think their baseline is like let's keep it about the field. Like if people don't know that there's somebody doing this work, the better. Like if the field just performs and people aren't asking questions, then you've done your job right. So you've found the industry where someone like you can thrive.
That's right. Usually, if we're not noticed, it's a good thing.
It couldn't be me. I try and find that spotlight, even if it's like, the police come in with, their flood. I'll take it however I can find it. But I'm very excited to welcome you onto the chat. And you are one of our six pioneers in the field this year, our 2025 class. So we're very excited to really deep dive into your origin story, your journey in the industry, those mentors, the people who have really built you up along the way. So whenever you're ready, I don't think I know your turf origin story. I know all about, your time at Toledo, but take us back to the beginning. How did this really come on your radar and how did this become a career for you?
Yeah, well, I grew up in a tiny little town, Edgerton, Ohio. It's over on the Indiana-Ohio border, and
Okay.
just always grew up mowing, just like everybody else, mowing grass, taking
Yep.
care of neighbors' yards. And I played in all sorts of sports growing up, and it was just one of those things where the career kind of found me, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being young and helping get our little league fields ready after rains and stuff like that. And then when I was younger, I was looking into being like a zoologist or something like that. But as I
Okay.
got into high school and I was looking to play baseball in college and started looking around, and the community college here in town had a baseball program with a turf management program.
Oh, cool.
Um, just kind of always was fascinated by baseball fields and football fields and just the quality of work, and grew up a golfer too. So I was always out on a golf course.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up, after graduation, I went to Owens Community College here in Toledo,
Okay.
played baseball there and got a turf degree. And while I was there, one of the first things we ran into was a job fair one of my first years, and I got hooked up with Brian Hall with Sylvania Rec.
I
And
was waiting how long it would take
yeah,
for him to be mentioned. Well, I think we
exactly.
we made it 2 minutes in.
Yeah, I think Brian was the assistant there at the time. Rob Montgomery was the head guy, and then
Okay.
ran into both of those guys at that job fair, and it just kind of like fell into place. I was fascinated by the facility and
Mm-hmm.
my internship there, and then worked there on and off a couple of years, even after my internship.
Very
And
cool.
then after graduating Owens, I went and interned with Doug Gallant down in the Cincinnati Reds for a summer,
Okay.
and then proceeded after that. I went to Saginaw Valley to continue baseball. They didn't have a turf program, but
Okay.
played a semester there and just kind of realized that it was time to start looking for a career. So I
Mm-hmm.
moved to just outside Atlanta, Georgia, high school called Wesleyan Schools.
Okay.
Worked for John DeWitt. He's now the in charge of all the facilities at Alabama.
Okay. I was gonna say I recognize that name as well.
Learned a ton from him there, and then my now wife moved down after I was down in Atlanta for a year. She moved down, and then the assistant groundskeeper position for the Mudhens opened up after we were down there for a while back in
Okay.
'07. So I ended up getting that job. We moved back home, and then kind of the rest is history. 2011, I did a little like a 7 year stint at a golf course. I was a golf course superintendent. After I was the assistant here, I was
Okay.
course superintendent for 6 or 7 years, and then Jake proceeded to start his own business, and then I came back to my current position here now.
Very cool. Well, we spent some time with Brian last spring as they were prepping for their Memorial Day
Yeah.
tournament. Did you ever have I don't know if I would say pleasure or torture of working that tournament?
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a lot of big tournaments out there. It was a little different back then, though. Like laying out the soccer fields was way more difficult than what they got now with their little robot guy.
Yeah, yeah,
I learned a ton out there with just all sorts of different things, whether it be work ethic or taking care of athletic fields, but just how to be a good person and a good groundskeeper in general.
definitely. And how like pivotal do you think it is for not only you, but just all groundskeepers to have someone like that or a crew like that so early on in your career? Because at that point, you probably still could have gone many different routes. You know,
Oh
baseball was a dream. How much of an influence did that really play in like, I think I could make a career out of this?
It's huge because they made it fun on top of learning a lot. And I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I would have to say right off the beginning of your career, if you end up in the not right situation, it would easy you could change really easily. You know,
Yeah,
we get some long drawn out days, and if you have a negative attitude, that's going to go. Your young people are going to realize think that's what it's all about, and not realize how to handle some of that stuff. So, an early
100%.
mentor definitely helps you get your career on the right path for sure.
And I'm sure that's why everyone does take like the mentorship role so seriously in this industry because yeah, like there are a few, stats or facts about the job that aren't so glamorous. So if that's what's really at the focal point or what's leading someone's impression, like you're right, like if that were to be your first gig out of, high school or even a program, like that would shut someone down pretty quick, I can imagine.
Absolutely. And I gotta try. I try, probably don't do a great job at it, but I try really hard to make sure the long days aren't the only thing we stress about or the hard days
Yeah,
because we're with my crews with each other more than we are our family. So it's like no one wants to come into a miserable environment. Now
of
there's days,
course.
don't get me wrong, I'll sit here and say that I try to be happy go lucky all the time. There's days there's
Of
days that's
course.
not that way, but you just try to help people enjoy their job and their time here.
Well, there's like tiers to our industry as well, where it's like, oh, university athletics, football, people that are on TV. And I would say minor league baseball is at the top of that list where it's like, it is a tough go. Like, you guys have so much up against you, such an early start, especially in our location of the world, but also just the length of the season, um, and just the nature of you may not always have the biggest budgets either.
Yeah.
So what really fuels your fire? I mean, especially to have such a long career in baseball, what has kept you in this line of work on this side of the industry? What are the things that you absolutely like you wouldn't trade for the world?
Um, I don't know. I think part of it is just I don't think I could do anything else.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
this is what I know, and this is what I love. It's just seeing what we get to go through and accomplish every day. The things
Hmm.
sometimes I feel like groundskeepers make the impossible possible a lot of times.
Hmm.
With our work ethic and with our crews and how everybody just works together to get a job accomplished. You see so many times different schools or different facilities, they have this. How are they going to pull that off? And it
Yeah.
seems like every time it looks like there wasn't even an event that happened on the field. And it's just
Incredible.
being a part of an industry like that, I would say I'm probably not as good as a lot of people are at doing stuff like that, but it's amazing. And just getting to see like the joy of some of our younger crew, how they start the season and how they end the season, just the pride that they develop. And
Hmm.
they I'd say 99% of them love coming to work. And
Yeah.
it's just one of the things we have people that have moved on to other careers that still talk about it and still call you and check in on you and just see how things are going and tell you how much they appreciated their time with you. That means a lot to me.
Definitely. And especially in baseball to have people come in and it's a cultural pastime for so many of us. Whether you watched it from your living room or your parents actually took you to the park, to be on that side of it is such like an eye-opening experience. So not only do you have the opportunity to, bring people into the behind the scenes, but then give them a love for another element of the game.
Yeah, for sure.
And do you
It's
think,
always rewarding seeing fans come to their first game, or
yeah,
like this time of year. I would say our grass is probably not as green as it is a lot of times going to opening day right now, but just when people come in, it's still a lot greener than a lot of grass around. So just the awe that people have when they walk in and wonder how it was possible, how you get it there. It's rewarding.
definitely. And what do you think about like, do the players and how fresh or green they are to, they have all of that passion and drive and desire to make it to that next part. Do you think, that kind of plays into the culture of, what you guys have in Toledo as well?
I think so. We're kind of all in it for the same reasons, and our main
Hmm.
reason is to provide those gentlemen with the best field they can play on to get them
Yeah,
to the next level, and it's pretty rewarding. Not all of them say anything, and I'm the kind of guy that I don't really try to get anything out of them. I figure if something needs fixed, I hope that they can come to me and tell me, but I'm not going to try to pry information. But like after we won the award a couple of years ago, I had a couple of players reach out and text and
very
thank
sweet.
us for what we do and even say how pivotal we were in their career moving up and stuff like that. So that's pretty rewarding to hear that.
Yeah, they'd have a problem with me if I were like a groundskeeper, had groundskeeper at all. They'd be like, this girl just like hangs around, like batting practice, just like waiting for someone to compliment her. She needs to get out there and do some work.
Sometimes no compliments to me, no compliments are the best compliment you can get, I feel like.
Truly, truly. And what like interests or personality types? I mean, you've already hit on so many that I think are, a requirement for some groundskeepers. But what do you think that you really possess personality wise that has made you, thrive or be successful in the industry?
I've been known to be considered a perfectionist from time to time, good or
Hmm.
bad. Sometimes it gets in the way when you try to make things absolutely perfect and you just can't. I mean,
Yeah,
nothing's perfect, obviously, but just a strong work ethic. I developed that, but from the small town I worked in, from being a little kid riding around tractors with my grandpa to working with my dad at his job, and just a strong work ethic is huge, and a big attention to detail.
definitely. And, aside from the personality, who do you think are the people that really like saw that you could be successful in this industry, like said, oh yeah, you've got the personality type for this or the traits or the skills, and really just built you up to keep you on the path.
I mean, it starts with your parents. They
Hmm.
might not have seen that I could do it, but they encourage you to do what you want to do, and they're behind you the whole way, helping you move down to Cincinnati, helping you move to
Yeah,
Georgia, just doing that sort of stuff. And then I would say Brian and Rob at Pacesetter were the first ones that really helped me realize that I could probably make a decent living doing it.
I love that. And so many people have like a very clear course when it comes to career. Like, you know, got to have this GPA in high school, then you go to this kind of program, then you follow this career path. And so as a parent, it's like those same people would often expect their child to follow a similar path. But since you are, in an industry where it's like everyone who has a groundskeeping job, they came from several different walks of life, came on their radar, in very unique ways. Do you think that, as a parent, that will help you kind of help them find their passion or whatever they choose to follow?
Absolutely. I think I my I got an 11-year-old boy right now, and he wants to do this for a career. He just
Hmm.
loves coming to the ballpark,
I
and
love that.
now his mother, I think, is trying to talk him into something different because she sees what it's like on her end.
Yeah,
Um, I would say she doesn't not like this career. It's just getting tougher for her as the older our kids get.
yeah.
Like when I first started, we had no kids, and then when they were babies, it wasn't that big a deal. And now
Hmm.
they're all three playing different sports, and every night someone's having to go somewhere else. And when I'm at the ballpark, it's just all on her.
Yeah,
She's trying to encourage Connor maybe to look somewhere else, but he's going to be doing something outside, I'm sure. Whether
yeah,
the kid just loves working with his hands and playing outside, and just he loves being here. My girls, it'll be for me, it'll be just encourage them to do what they want. You know what I mean? Just
yeah.
life's too short to find a career that you aren't happy doing. And you just
Truly.
explore their options while they're younger. You don't know until you're actually doing something. You can get some ideas of what you're going to do, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with changing what you want to do for several different times before you actually get a career, I don't think.
Truly, and I mean we hear it so much in groundskeeping, like you said, you were exposed to the industry in some fashion when you were 6 years old, like mowing lawns and
Yeah,
helping neighbors and to to just really embrace that, like all these different life experiences, how they can really help, change the course of who you're going to be one day.
exactly.
Get them off that couch, right?
Yeah, mine aren't on the couch very much. I wish they were a little bit more because we're never home to be on a couch.
I know. Oh my gosh. I'm like starting to get a very small taste of it. I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. And I mean, we have really perfected like couch potato ness. Like we are like at 1 years old, both of these boys could like sit and watch a movie. It's one of my greatest accomplishments as a parent. But now my son is like, he's watching some it, starts on the couch. He's watching some baseball series on Disney Plus and he's like, I want to play baseball and then I
Yeah.
want to play soccer with my friends from school and it's like, oh, it's gearing up to be something here.
Enjoy it while you can because it gets wild. I promise you that.
Yeah. Oh,
Wild right now.
yeah, I can't imagine, especially having three and them all being at that age where it's like, it's such a center for so many families.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm gearing up for some exciting times, I'm sure. My problem is like, I want to do it all where I'm like, I want to be the coach and I want to be, I want my husband to coach the other team. Like, I want
Yeah,
us to, I'm like, I need to ease our way into it so we don't get too invested too early.
exactly. Exactly.
So, who are you in your element? And you can take this like professionally or personally. Now that you've been in baseball for so long, and you've been with the Mud Hens for so long, like where are you in your happiest? Like when you picture yourself at work, like what's the perfect day for you?
Perfect day is a Sunday, the last day of a
Hmm.
homestand where it's 70 degrees out with not a cloud in the sky, and there's no batting practice that day, and the game starts at 2.
I love that. And you get to be home potentially in t before the sun sets.
Exactly. Get home for dinner.
I
No,
love
I
that.
just kind of joking, kind of serious on that one. But it's mainly just any day at the ballpark's a good day.
Hmm.
Some days feel more rushed than others because you're trying to get home and get done and get home into another activity. But
Definitely.
I would say just some of my favorite days are, to be honest with you, some weekends when the team's out of town, we'll come in on a Saturday evening and mow the pattern in for the next homestand when the ballpark's nice and quiet and
Yeah.
the few times the field looks really, really good, it's just kind of puts you at peace, and it's just a different sense of everything kind of slows down at that time.
Definitely. No, I love being able to visit customers when yeah, I as a fan typically see it with the hustle, the bustle, vendors,
Yeah,
fans, and how unique it is to be there when it's just like a piece. Like it's so cool.
yeah,
I definitely envy that ability to, interact with the ballpark at that stage.
exactly. Or early mornings when the sun's just coming up and you're in before everybody else, and you're just kind of walking around checking things out. It's pretty peaceful and rewarding, knowing
Definitely.
craziness is about to begin.
Definitely. And where are you in your element outside of work? Like where do you feel most comfortable? Where do you feel like you really are just in a good groove outside of the ballpark?
I don't know if we're ever in a good groove outside of the ballpark. It's usually a mad dash to make sure somebody's where they're
Yeah,
supposed to be when they're supposed to be. But pretty much any time all five of us can be together at the same time. Those days right now are kind of few and far between. But
hmm,
just even if it's 30 minutes of enjoying dinner together or
yeah,
going on a walk down. We live out in the middle of the country, so just taking a walk in the country roads with the dogs and the kids. And um, I enjoy coaching. Coached pretty much all three of them in one sport or another at a certain point. Helping other kids learn.
yeah,
Just there's more when you're coaching. You're teaching the kids more than just the sport. Ideally, you're teaching them responsibilities, you're teaching them work ethic, you're teaching them that you have to be a good team player and that sort of thing. A lot of the youth, a lot of that is teaching them stuff more than the sport, I think is what I enjoy the most about it.
Definitely. No, that's very sweet. Um, and I think like, yeah, just you're very inspirational to me right now because I'm hoping for a third. But to hear that, there's so many like just like that where it's like, oh, you gotta be crazy. But I also do think there's that point in time where it's like you get that 30 minutes of just like bliss where it's like, look at what you've created.
And very rarely do they all three get along at the same time. So it's not very peaceful very often. We had at one point when our third was first born, I'm like, well, we might as well have four. We're already outnumbered, but thank goodness
Yeah.
we didn't go that route.
I love it. That's too funny. That's too funny. So, who are the people when things are not going right? When you're in the trenches, you're fighting for your life, like you're something's going wrong with the field. Who are those people or what are the qualities you need in a crew? The people in the trenches with you.
They're just the ones that are there for you that'll
Hmm.
run through a wall for you. You know what I mean? You treat them right, and they're gonna treat you right. And we've been fortunate over the years having really really good crews that the guys understand that hey, not every day's like this. Let's get through this, and tomorrow's gonna be a
Yeah.
nice day. So it's really awesome to be able to have guys like that you can lean on. I say guys when I say guys, I mean guys and gals because we obviously have both, but.
Yeah.
uh, just it's they understand and they work just for the same common goal that we work for.
Definitely. And just being able to come back the next day and almost be some I do you know the Goatleys from Virginia Tech?
Mhm.
Um, we
Yeah,
we recently just had them on the Groundskeeper chat, and his Mike Goatley's wife is like a therapist. And so we talked a lot just about like the nature of crews, and we talked about like trauma bonding on
yeah,
how like in this field, like there's a lot of that going on where you are experiencing such heightened emotions and you're up against the clock and you're up against all the challenges and TV time and all these different schedules and how a lot of these crews are almost kind of like trauma bonded, where you can go through something that you never thought was possible. Like you said, so many grounds crew keepers and crews are like doing the impossible. And then you come back the next day and be like, you're bonded for life
yeah.
almost by that kind of
That's
stuff.
actually a great point. Some of like the bad weather game or something like that, and
Yeah.
everybody and there's only so many people that actually understand what it's like to go through that.
Yeah.
It's just one of those, like you said, one of those days you have three, four tarp pulls during the morning, and then it rains during the game, and you're throwing conditioner all game long, and then you have another tarp pull to end the night, and you're getting out of here at 1 o'clock in the morning, and then you come in the next day, you're wondering if the field's even going to be playable because it was sopping wet when you tarped it the night before, and then
Yeah.
the tarp off, and it's beautiful out, and everything dries up, and the field the next day doesn't even look like it went through anything the night before. It's just those are some pretty special days too.
Definitely. Yeah. So what are some of those moments, if you could look back at your career um, yeah, like the stars aligned and you were able to accomplish something that you guys never thought was possible?
I would say when we had Winterfest and I don't know if it was 2021 where we take the field out every 7 8 years and put a
Okay.
on the field for 18 days I think where it's basically open skates and we have Toledo Walleye here play here a couple games and
Very cool.
so starting the end of the season, we start prepping the field and taking the grass out and then making the sandbox for the rink. And that usually starts around October, November. And then they come and build the rink. And then that goes on through the month of December. And then January comes and everything's ice frozen and snow everywhere. And there's
Yeah.
not grass on the field. You know, the season's starting end of March. And somehow, some way, the weather cooperates just right. And you're able to get the rink off and get the sod down. And the opening day of that year was really like, holy smokes, how did we do that? Or
Yeah.
to me, I feel like you almost get more lucky than you are good when something like that because
Yeah.
bad weather situations would make that. We got super fortunate that year, and we had a really really nicely late February, early March, and ran into no issues. But you get one of those real snowy Marches, that would have not been a fun time.
Yep, the stars aligned for sure.
That's for sure.
So this episode will probably go out like mid-April, end of April, but we're actually talking mid-March. You're 10 days away from opening day. So, where are you mental health wise right now? How is this, you're so many seasons in, is it just kind of like you go with the motions, or do you get that like game time opening day feeling still?
Oh
Where are
yeah.
you really at 10 days out?
I don't feel like I get as stressed out as I used to get about it. I mean, I try not to show it anyway. My assistant told me the other day, he's like, "You're starting to stress out already, aren't you?" I'm like, "Yeah, just a million things going through my mind, and it
Of
eases my stress
course.
just telling him all about it. That way, he kind of has an idea of what's gonna be coming around the pipe too. But I feel like we're in a fairly good spot. The grass isn't where I'd like it to be this year. We normally try to put our growth blankets on in mid-February. We normally get like a thaw in mid-February and put them out. But it stayed frozen up until the first couple weeks of March this year, and then so it's just we leave the grass grow a little long going into winter. So our first cut it greened up quite a bit. It's still not where we'd like it to be, but as long as the mounds and the dirt is playing fine, the everything else will be fine. But
Yeah.
just a lot of tiny little things to do, and you feel like you got it and you're going to have plenty of time. And then you look at the calendar, then you look at the weather the next week, and you're like, oh boy, maybe we don't have as much time as I thought. And then
Yeah.
those thoughts start going through your mind, and then you lay down in bed at night, and then you
I was gonna
sleep
say, yep.
more. So the Winterfest year, I definitely slept via melatonin and NyQuil was about the only way I was getting sleep that year.
I love
I
it.
don't feel like I'm at that point yet. I think part of it is just straight exhaustion. By the time it's bedtime, I am waking up earlier now because you pop up and you start thinking, but I have no trouble going to sleep right now.
Yeah. And when we talked a few weeks ago, you talked about you have a pretty fresh crew going into the season. What are some of the philosophies or tricks of the trade that you try and practice so that you guys can blend and get cohesive with one another so that when opening day comes, you guys are ready to hit the ground and running?
A lot of it is we have a nice mix of some returning guys that I feel like know what they're doing enough. They help to train the new guys, and then I have a new assistant this year, Jack Reeds. He's from Indianapolis. He's pretty experienced in baseball already, so that
Okay,
that
very
makes
cool.
it nice. I mean, Joey down in Indy's a fantastic groundskeeper, so he's already taught him a bunch of stuff. Jack probably knows some stuff that I don't even know yet, I'm sure. But it just I feel like we're a younger, more I wouldn't say younger, we're more well, I feel like we have several new people on our crew this year, but I'm not too worried because our returning guys are so good and Jack knows what he's doing. So I think we'll be all right.
Very cool. And that's just like another cool experience, just in sports, naturally, it's like you get a fresh take at every new season. But also when you have, new folks coming in, new crew members, it's exciting to, create a new, um, like almost a new team every
And
year within your crew.
yeah, and it's a team for us, and it's funny because it seems like the culture of our crew kind of changes year to year, depending
Yeah,
on sometimes we have a whole bunch of high school kids, sometimes we have a bunch of college kids, sometimes we have some retirees. It just kind of depends on how it seems like we have a different crew every year, but it seems like our backbone's kind of the same, and
very
everyone
cool.
it has the same work ethic. And then, like you said, too, it seems like, in fact, ever since I've been back as the head guy, every year we've had a different manager. So it's one of those things by the end of a season, or shoot, by a month into the season, you kind of know what to expect from them and they know what to expect from you. And it's just kind of a working relationship that by the end of the year, that it just kind of is like riding a bike. Everyone knows what everyone's doing, and it seems
Yeah.
like every spring there's a little anxiety for me because it's a newer crew on our end, and then a new manager, not new, but a different manager with different expectations and how they do their early work or what their scheduling is and stuff like that. But it doesn't take long to learn that stuff and get in a groove.
Definitely. And you talked a little bit about like the backbone or like the foundation of those crews. What do you think that really is, that you try and put in place like immediately when you have someone when new season or someone start?
I don't know if I have a really good answer to that. I don't know.
You're just winging it.
Yeah, just pretend that we know what we're doing. I don't know.
I
Uh,
love it.
I don't know. You just try to teach them the importance of our what we're doing, and but
Yep.
it's like we're not doing rocket science here or brain surgery or any of those things. So I mean, everybody can do it if they get the opportunity to be trained and learn. And we just try to teach them. And there's more than one way to skin a cat's nose, so to speak, too. So it's
Yep.
like I try to show them how I do it and what's worked for me over the years, and I'd like them to at least try it that method. But if they're more comfortable to do something a different way, as long as the results are the same, it doesn't matter how we get to the finish line, as long as
Yep.
there when we need to.
Well, and I think like adaptability and being flexible is so important as a leader, when you're leading a crew, because that's exactly right. As long as that end product is, safe, playable, empowering crew members or, young leaders on the team to kind of find their own way to do it, I'm sure can be really impactful for the
Uh,
culture.
probably still not as good as I should be at doing that, but I feel like I've gotten better over the years. It takes a lot of stress off your end too. If you just,
Definitely.
I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen? It's grass. It'll grow back. If we
Yeah.
mess with it,
Well,
it'll
and
grow back. I
keeping
promise.
keeping on that same course, really, how do you think you've changed as a professional over the years, whether it's different venues or different like facets of the industry? How do you think you have really evolved?
I feel like I still have like a huge attention to detail, but I feel like I'm getting a little better at not letting some of the little stuff bother me.
Hmm.
I'm not trying to there I got way more things going on outside of this stadium, so it's like I'm not spending the extra hours making sure my shop's perfectly clean or doing the little tiny things that we used to spend tons of time doing, that in the grand scheme of things it doesn't really matter. Yes, it is nice to have a great clean shop, and right now ours is not, and it drives you crazy every day, but I would rather get home to a kid's sporting event or family dinner or something like that than spend an extra hour washing stuff that's already washed and cleaned a million times. So
A
that
hundred
might be
percent.
a poor example, but just kind of I don't try not to sweat the small stuff as I much as I used to. I still probably do more than I should. I still let things weigh on me more than I should, but I don't know. I feel like I'm less stressed than I used to be at times, because there's a lot of things in our job we just can't control.
Yep.
Trying to stress about something that you can't control isn't doing any good.
Yep. Well, and I think, the people that work on your crew or have the opportunity to learn from you are only going to benefit from being under somebody who is prioritizing life outside of the ballpark. Because it could be really easy, especially in baseball, to, I mean, there aren't enough hours in the day, I'm sure,
There
with,
is definitely not.
and so, that just kind of promoting that balance in a sense, just naturally by exactly what you said. Like you've got a lot going on outside of the ballpark as well. I'm sure for those younger guys on the crew to see that you could be the head groundskeeper or sports turf manager and still have a family and be present there is probably pretty inspirational.
I hope so. I
I,
probably
I
don't do
think
as
so.
a
I
job
think
as I
so.
should with that either. I try.
You're too humble. You're making my job I'm like, come on, let's butter you up. You're like, I could be better. I could be better. I'm not good at that. But I could tell you, just hearing, your take on it, like is very refreshing because, work-life balance has become such a buzz term where it's like there are a lot of like easy way or shortcuts where it's like as an organization, like, oh, we prioritize work-life balance. But it's like you have to actually practice it
Yeah.
and really like live it and for it to make an impact instead of just saying like, here's your 15-minute, you can meditate in this corner if you want. Like, or
Yeah.
we bring in Chipotle 3 times a year. Like to
Yeah.
really live it is much more impactful for sure.
And it is tough. I mean, we grew up
100%.
and that's what we tried. I feel like watching and looking around in the industry, it's getting a lot better. But it's like some of us grew up as we were ingrained that you had to be at the ballpark every minute. You had to be there,
Yep.
and it's hard to let go and spend some time away. And it's, for me, it's not that I don't trust my crew. I trust my crew 100% to do stuff. It's like I still have, when I'm not here and they are, I have a sense of guilt that
Yep.
I'm not working, but they are. And it's just one of those things I feel like we're all in it together. And it's like, it's not
Yes.
fair for them to not be working and, or them be working and me not be there. But I, I try to give them the time first, and then hopefully at some point I get some time off. Obviously, it doesn't work like that all the time because there's events that I have to get out early for and stuff like that. But if there's a
Right.
day where one of us needs to come in, I try to make sure it's me and not my crew, if at all possible, because it's important for them to have time too.
Definitely. Well, yeah, and I think that's like, pro and con of creating that culture and creating such a family tight-knit group is that you're exactly right. You want to be in the trenches with them
Yeah,
whenever you can. And you don't want to, it's not a matter of delegating, it's a matter of wanting to be beside them and experiencing those hardships or those accomplishments together.
exactly.
So, when we talk about this project, it's very much we put a large focus on legacy and what you're trying to create with your crew or with your work or your product or what have you. What do you really hope your legacy will be, whether it's with the Mud Hens or with your crew or even just what your kids take from your career? What do you really hope that legacy is?
Uh I mean, obviously, we all want to be known as a good groundskeeper, but there's more to that than there's more to life than that. I mean, if we die tomorrow, there's going to be somebody doing our job tomorrow. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? It's just going to happen. But it's more of wanting to teach people that what life's about, kind of that everybody's valued, that everybody's a has a reason we're here, and
Yeah.
the last person on the crew, in my opinion, is just as important as the first person on the crew. And just, I'd like to hope that people that work for me see that in what I do. I probably, like I said before, I probably should do better, need to do better on some of that stuff, but um, just I want my people to enjoy their time here and want
Yeah.
to be here, and just kind of teach them, even whether it's how to be a groundskeeper or whether how to be a good person.
I love that. And what do you really hope your kids take away from, having their dad work in such a unique industry, but also just a unique opportunity to have such an impact on people in an organization?
That that's a tough one. I don't. I hope. I hope, and I'm afraid it's leaning that way, that they're not like dad's just always at work all the time, because those words have came out of their mouth, and that's helped me realize that
Yep.
I shouldn't be at work. Oh, dad, you can't come to this because you got to work probably, and unfortunately a lot of times that's what it is.
Hmm.
But I honestly think they're proud. They love coming here. They love seeing the ballpark, and when we won that award, they were so happy and talked
That's
about
so
it.
cool.
So yeah, I think they like what my job is, and I think hopefully it teaches them what a work ethic is,
Hmm.
teaches them to work hard for what you have. And I don't like the fact that sometimes I'm not with them to show them that, but
Hmm.
it is what it is, I guess. There's not a lot we can do about it.
Well, and how important it is for them to see that you love, like that is something that you could aspire to, is to love what you do.
Yeah. And my,
Um,
my biggest fear, I guess, is a kid thinking that I love my ballpark and my field more than I love them.
Of
I
course,
mean,
of
it's
course.
kind of, they've hinted at that a little bit from time to time.
Well,
I
are any of them
hope
teenagers
they
yet?
won't.
Wait,
What,
that might become the reality.
what's that?
I said, are any of them teenagers yet? That might become the reality.
Yeah, I mean, there's days, trust me, the baseball field doesn't talk back.
My dad used to say if I were to be born first, none of my brothers would be here today. That
True, I
was
have
his,
my youngest is like that.
oh, it's
God love
too
her.
much. He's like, you came out talking back somehow.
Yeah. I have two like that.
What a treat. What a treat. Good odds there for you. So one of our last questions that we always ask on the Groundskeeper chat is, what are the things you do? What are you listening to? What are the shows you're watching? What are the things that are taking you away from the park when you really need it? Who are you outside of the job and in the sense of what are your interests, your passions?
Yeah, I like any sport. I don't follow them too much anymore, and any really. I mean, football season, I'll watch football, but I don't live and die it.
So
Um,
yeah, what fan are you a Browns or are you a
I'm a
Bengals?
Bengals fan,
Okay, okay.
and so we were pretty excited when the T. Higgins Jamar Chase signing came out yesterday. So that
Yep,
I
yep.
was pretty excited about that. But pretty much anything. I mean, I like listening to the country music. One of my most favorite things to do that we haven't done in forever is just sitting around the campfire at night, listening to music or
Yep.
just enjoying time like that. Watching kids play. We've got two volleyball players, a couple softball players, hockey players. So it's just anytime we can watch them compete and learn as they're playing and learning that you learn from failures and learn
Yep.
from all that stuff. And then just basically anytime stuff, anytime you can spend with my immediate family, extended family, any of that is where I'm the happiest and you can kind of get away from work just a little bit.
The bread and butter of life.
Yeah.
Truly. Well, I really appreciate all the time you were able to give me today. Is there any last lingering thoughts you want to leave us with, or anything I didn't touch on that you want to make sure is included in there?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I just appreciate your time and hopefully it wasn't too bad.
No, you were wonderful. And so yeah, like I said, this one will go out in like mid-April, end of April. And then when the weather really starts being consistent and nice, I'll come up and pay you a visit and we'll get some nice photos and all those other elements of the piece.
Perfect. That sounds good. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. And in 10 days, I hope you have the best day of the year.
I hope so. I at least hope it's not raining. That's all I really care about.
Or a good springboard for a wonderful season.
Yeah, exactly. You got to figure if opening day is really bad, it can't go anywhere
True, true.
worse than
Yeah,
that.
you almost kind of want to start off on a bad note.
We had a gorgeous opening day last year, so
Yeah, I hope you get as
I don't think
lucky.
we'll be able to do 2 years in a row, probably.
I will say 28 is my lucky number, so I'll put out some good vibes for you.
There you go. I appreciate it.
You have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.